On today's Locked On Avalanche StatCast, the Avs pitch back-to-back shutouts and then get shut out themselves. What do the numbers and stats say? Let's take a look. Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, StatCast. Thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. We will have a regular Locked On Avalanche episode later on today, probably late tonight. Those late night games are not fun for recording afterwards, especially when you're on the East Coast. So we're kind of doing it opposite this way. The StatCast will come out first. And then Kyle and I will record our regular podcast. Well, we'll get into the meat of the game and how we feel about the game and all that stuff. You'll get some of that here, obviously, but we're going to focus in on, like we usually do with the StatCast, the numbers and graphics and things like that. Obviously, not the best game for the Avs. They lose 3-0. Like I said in the opening, you pitch 2 shutouts, and then you get shut out. Kind of not really how you want a 2-game winning streak to end with nothing on the board, but it is what it is. And you know, like I said, we'll get into it. Kyle and I will on what the downside was. Probably going to be Miles Wood heavy. That's not good. It's not good. So, but where we're going to start is I decided to start with last StatCast with the goal visualizers. We'll do that, but it's going to be short-lived, number one, because the Avalanche didn't score any. And I don't want to do it just on Avalanche goals. Most of the time we probably will. But the for whatever reason, and I will share it here, the goal visualizers on the NHL website only has one goal from Vancouver out of their 3. Has the ability to have the goal visualizer. You see it right there on the bottom of the goal, and the other 2 don't have it. I don't know why. That's happened one other time, but for whatever reason, they don't have it. So we'll just look at this one quick, and I know this is probably not the best one you want to look at because it's not an Avalanche goal, but we'll take a look at it. So here you go. There's where Parson, and he kind of fell down. At first I thought he was tripped, and I think he just fell. I think he just lost his balance and fell. I didn't really see a stick come in that tripped him up. And then in going the other way, I don't think the Avs are in terrible position here. This is just DeBrusk. He's got a couple strides on Middlestat, and you know, in this league that's tough to close that gap. So there's the shot, bounces over everybody's head, and DeBrusk, it's a nice play. He just picks it out of midair and puts it on the ice. You'd like to see, if you have that much time to pick up the puck and put it down that close into the net with that many people around you, you'd like to see some sticks whacking at it. But I don't think anybody really knew where it was. I think the only ones who knew where it was were people trailing the play. Because obviously you have Sam Girard, his back is going towards the goal. And when the shot comes, I think those guys trailing the play are the ones who see that it's popped up. All these guys kind of right in front don't see that. So it pops up over and DeBrusk gets it. But look at everybody. Everybody, save for one out by the blue line, is from the dots down. So you'd like to see if there's that much congestion there. You know, the puck can go anywhere. And DeBrusk just picks it up and somehow, some way is able to put it on the ice and score a goal. Not my favorite goal that they've given up. But that's just a little bit of puck luck for the Vancouver Canucks, that it goes right to DeBrusk. He has enough time to put it on the ice and score a goal. So there you go. None for the Avalanche that we can get to, obviously, because they did not score, and I can't get to the other ones because they're not there. But where we will go now is to, of course, natural stat trick, and some pretty good numbers over there. Kind of like it normally does, can kind of tell an interesting story. So where are we here? Okay, so you look at your first period for the Avs. As far as shots go, they were getting good shots on net. You got, for your Corsi, it's 24, 8 against. And for your Fenwick, it's 16-8. So they only blocked 4 shots, did Vancouver. For the Avs, excuse me, they didn't block anything because your Corsi against is 8 and your Fenwick against is 8. So 8 is not a lot of shots against you. That's fine. That's good, but you didn't block any of them. So it would have been nice to get that down a couple numbers. That's fine, especially when you're giving up goals. Even though there was none in the first period, that's get in the way. Create some havoc. In the second, again, 21 Corsi 4. That's better than you did in the first, but you gave up 26. And you did get in the lanes for your Fenwick, so that's 16 against. And this is 5-on-5 too. I have not gone to the all because the numbers will inflate when you get to the all, especially when you had 6 power plays that you let Vancouver have. And then in the third, when you really got to step things up, it just like nothing happened. You had 7 shots directed towards the net. They only blocked 1 of them, and they had more than you. And when they're in the lead, it can't be like that. You want more of one of the first 2 periods, especially when you're trailing, to really kind of get after everything. And the Avs just didn't. And Vancouver was the better team. You flip it over to all situations, and takes even a worse tone in the third. You only had 11. There was 7 was 5-on-5 and 11 for all situations, and they had 20. So they really controlled it. Like they clamped down. They controlled everything. There's scoring chances in the first. That's good. 12-6, 11-14. Again, you don't want to give up that many, but how many did you have? Okay, like you can live with 11. You don't want to live with 14. And then in the third, again, when you're down, you're only getting 4 and you're giving up 12. So it's just like you got to be the tired team or something. And I know Miles Wood doesn't help any of this. And when you are giving up a ton of penalties, they're going to have more of the scoring chances. So there's your high danger chances, 4-2 in the first in favor of the Avs, 1-6 in favor of Vancouver in the second, and then 1-4 in favor of Vancouver in the third. And again, that speaks to just the power plays and everything that Vancouver had, which is just not ideal when you're trailing and in the third period. If you want to look at this is the Corsi and just game flow charts, favors the Avalanche for 5-on-5. When you go to all, it favors the Canucks. That's going to happen when you have, again, that many penalties. Here's your heat map. That's pretty good for the Avalanche. I think that's really good, except for that dark blue is out too far. You want that, again, more in the crease like Vancouver does. Vancouver didn't have as much of a heat map of that the Avs had, but look where their high attempts are, right in front of the net, right off to the side of the net. You get one that's out here a little bit. That's not too dangerous, but that's where they're controlling a lot of their offensive play, and where a lot of it drives from. And then you go, right to the net, which the Avs just had no net front presence here, and this shows it. And you have a lot. That's for Cale Makar is right out by the blue line. Move all that down a little bit more. If you go to all, for the Avs, look at that. 5-on-5, all. Not much, you only had the 2 power plays, I think it was. So it's not really going to change all that much. Your blue just gets a little bit bigger. But look at Vancouver's side. Really, I mean, you have some orange and yellow right in front of the net. And then when you have 6 power plays, that's going to inflate a lot. And you get 2 goals right in front. Well, yeah, 2 goals right in the net front. So not good. You want to look at the power plays for your heat map. There's Vancouver. You're going to have, you have a lot of movement right in front of the net. For Colorado, there's your dots again. I know they only had 2, but you got to make the most of them, and just nothing. So back to not really moving around all that much on the power play. Let's look at that power play on the power play charts. And here's your 2. You lose the first face off, you win the second one. Good. And if you've listened to these StatCasts, you know that I'm kind of a stickler for that. That's the only time I really care about a face off, is when it's in your own zone to start a power play. But you lost that one, but you did get a couple shots towards the net you missed, but they had a shot that you had to block, and then they won another face off, which I think was in their own zone. And then the second one, nothing. You won the face off, and you got nothing on that entire line. You gave them a shot on goal. And I don't normally do this, but it's just kind of when you expand the Canucks power play, it's just kind of funny to see, hey, there's a ton of power plays. Crazy. That's just ugly. Where else are we going here with natural stat trick? We can look at that on ice individual players and kind of just like your Corsi, who's driving play. Lehkonen did a very good job 70% of the time. Shots are for the Avalanche when he's on the ice. Cale Makar 60%. Middlestat, rough game for him in terms of dictating shots on the ice. 10-4, 17 against. Only 37% of the shots were Avalanche generated when he was on the ice. Kiviranta the same, 22%. Drew N, and this is 5-on-5, obviously, only 39% for him. You didn't have a lot of guys yet. So Nishis was 68%. McKinnon was 72%. So this is your top line kind of controlling play, and then everything else is dropping off after that. Save for, a couple guys like Jonathan Drouin, for, whatever reason, was only at 40%. But a lot of sub 50% numbers there, which you want to be the opposite. Where else are we going to go here? Oh, we just did that one. The forward lines. So let's see how the forward lines did. There's your top line. Again, this kind of tells the story right here. Lehkonen, McKinnon, Nashis, 27 for Corsi, 10 against, 23 Fenwick for, 8 against, 73% and 74% for Corsi and Fenwick. That was your, by far, best line. By far. Because look at the other ones. Not really going to do the Middlestat, Drew, and Colton. They were only out there for 46 seconds. But Kiviranta, Kelly, and O'Connor, 1 for, 5 against. Drew N, Middlestat, Parsonen, 5 for, 8 against. Everything is flipped. You had Miles Wood, Drury, and Colton was 7 for, and 4 against. So that's a good one. But look at that, how that doesn't really tell the entirety of the story, because look how much Miles would hurt you in this game. So if he can stay out of the box and stop committing penalties, that line could have done maybe a little bit more damage. But that's where we're at. All right, let's get over to Hockey Viz, because some good stuff over there as usual. I'll minimize myself here. Where do we want to go with Hockey Viz? It was the shot pressure, which again is your kind of like flow chart to the game. First period, it goes right up to this line here. Again, it kind of goes hand in hand with the shots. Excuse me. A lot of purple, which is towards the Avalanche side, so they're kind of controlling pace of play. Look where it goes in the second. Vancouver comes out hot. Avalanche just get nothing. There's a little bit of back and forth. You do get a ping off the post. And then it kind of evens out for who's, controlling play. And then in the third, it's not a lot for Vancouver, but look how little it is for the Avalanche. Like when this curve is coming in and it's like right up against this line right here, you're getting nothing because look, like you're always going to have it in and out, right? So when it goes in up here in the second, it's not going all the way. Like you're giving up play for a little bit, but you're gaining it back right and up to this ping here. Almost any other time, you're not really coming up to this middle line, but in the third, twice. When you give up the possession and they're controlling play and you don't get it back, you saw it. You saw it firsthand, and here it is in graphic form. Not a good third period. And there was one other thing on Hockey Viz that I wanted to bring up. Oh, the even strength shots. Look how much everything is just on. You're like split down the middle and to the left-hand side. All like you just separate the goal right down the middle all the way to the blue line. Look how much action they do. So they were just everything heavy on the left side, which most of the time is going to kind of trend that way anyway, because that's where Nathan MacKinnon is, and that's everything kind of drives a lot through him, understandably so. But it was like being force fed on that side, and you only have a couple out here from Martin Nicias. You have a couple close in. That's good. And Nathan MacKinnon, like doing what he's got to do. A lot of his shots came from the dots in, more in the house than you want. But everything on the left-hand side is outside of the circle. You get a few towards the net, but you can just see it. All the congestion is from the left side in. And I think, if Vancouver's doing their research on the fly, as this game is going on the bench, they're seeing that. And they're just feeling like if we can shut down that side of the ice, they're not going to get a lot of chances. And in the third, you saw it. You didn't get a lot of chances. So there's your Hockey Viz. I don't think, oh no, the 5-on-5 chart. I kind of like just looking at this kind of quickly because you can see, like I said before, you have your red line going down the center. You want to be to the right side of this because that's in the good/fun department, where the right side, you're in the dull or bad. The Avalanche are in blue for this game. A lot of guys on the left-hand side of it. Surprisingly, I mean, your Miles Wood is up here, but he's more towards the dull. I don't know how he's not towards the bad, because that was just really bad. And you only have your top guys here on the right-hand side: MacKinnon, Lehkonen, Nicias, Makar. Taves is just on the left-hand side, but he's more on the fun side of things. But most of your guys are not. Most of your guys are on the left, where that's not where you want to be. Dull/bad. Kind of was. So let's take a look at the hockey stat cards. And here we go with that. All right. Here's your Avalanche stat card. Blow this up a little bit. And again, right down the middle, 0. That's, just an average game. If you're going to the left, that's bad. If you're going to the right, that's good. So Cale Makar had a good game overall, and in all categories, really. Your defense, offensively, he had a really good game, and that's his game score. We'll get the game score in a second. So your guys have had good games. I've already really said them. Your top guys: Makar, MacKinnon, Colton, decent game. Maybe offensively, seems like he did not have the best game. I would agree with that. Lehkonen, Nicias, and while they're going to the right, you want them to just go as far as possible. But when you're not scoring goals, these lines are not going to be far out there. It's just, I'm kind of surprised Makar's is as far out as it is, because when you don't score, they're kind of more towards that center 0 line than anything else. But then as you go down, majority of the guys had a struggle, including Devon Taves, who defensively, according to stat cards, had a tough game defensively. Miles Wood, obviously well documented, and you just go down and you're getting further and further away from that center 0 line, where you look at Vancouver, you it's an interesting one. Because yeah, you have the guys who kind of scored are kind of going towards the right, but they don't have a lot of guys that are way off to the left hand side that would kind of show you that like this was a complete domination of a game. I don't think that it was. It got that way. Stupid errors by the Avalanche, and penalties don't really help, obviously, but you don't have huge stat, or what do they call it? Goal, not goal. What am I talking about? Game score. There we go. So I'm trying to think of. Your game score is not a big one for Vancouver. So, and you look at it, you had 3.39 for Philip Hronek. Demko is their second best player, which, yeah, I mean, he pitched a shutout, so he should be. But you don't usually see goalies this high up at a 2.57. And then the best player for the Avalanche, Mackenzie Blackwood, at a 1.65. And that's good. That's a good goalie score, which typically would be down here more. But when your other guys are not putting up a good gamer score, your best one is Cale Makar at 1.58. McKinnon was there at 1.16. And it's flooded with Vancouver players. So I don't feel like Vancouver was completely dominating in this game for most of it. They were the more steady team. And that wins out a lot of the time. And you see that in the score, and you get so as you get lower, there's a lot of Avalanche players down there. Parsonen at a -1 and Middlestat at a 0.99, so they're essentially the same. Kind of just drives home everything that we've been saying so far in the StatCast. So finally, we always end it with Money Puck. And the two things that we do over at Money Puck are the playoff odds and, of course, the deserve to win-o-meter. So, interestingly enough, the playoff odds, I don't think changed all that much. You're at 87.3% for the Avs. There you go. Which I can't remember what it was for the last time we did this, but it was in that realm. So you took the loss. You're still in a good spot. Playoff wise, 87%. That is good. And then over at the deserve to win-o-meter, that will simulate this game 1,000 times, taking into account a lot of the stats and average goaltending. Where's the deserve to win-o-meter? Why is it not popping up here? You can see the numbers, but they don't have the graphic. Let's try this one more time just to refresh it. It was showing up earlier. There we go. So it's going to simulate 1,000 times. Obviously, this is weighed heavily towards Vancouver. Basically 70%. 69.5% of the time after 1,000 game simulations, Vancouver is going to win that game. And you cannot argue with that. They were, as the game went on, they got to be the better team. I thought the Avalanche played an okay or good first period, similar second period, and that's where things started to fall off, though. And Vancouver was the team capitalizing on Avalanche mistakes. They had the better puck luck, and then things just kind of fell off. The wheels just kind of fell off for the Avalanche in stupid mistakes, stupid penalties, and you really. I would say the opposite. You deserved to lose this game if you're the Avs. So, not their best moment. But this is, Jared Bednar wanted the 5-game kind of like a playoff structure before the Four Nations tournament, and you're 2-1 in those 5 games. Now you got a tough back-to-back that finishes it up. So, if you can win those 2 and you finish those 5 games 4-1-0, that's a good 5-game stretch, but it remains to be seen. And I don't think there's any guarantee, if you've been watching the Avalanche all season, that it is a guarantee, because it's not. You still don't know what team is going to go out and play. And I will be interested to see what they do with Miles Wood going forward, because they are not happy with some of his actions. I can guarantee you that. Kyle and I will be discussing this one. We'll record it tonight and have that out later tonight, probably later tonight, I would say. So stay tuned for that, where we break all this down and get into much more of it. But the numbers make sense for this game completely. Canucks win. Hate saying that, but I not say that in the last episode? Like, this is Vancouver seems to have the Avalanche number recently. So I was kind of expecting a very difficult game, and it was. So, all right, that's going to wrap up the StatCast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, who tunes into these, because they're just fun to look at some numbers. So Kyle and I will be back, where we're going to break this whole game down as much as you might not want us to. We have to. So that'll be later tonight. Thank you, everybody. See you later.